Dumb, Cool,
and Weird
podcast. To the Dumb, Cool, Weird podcast. Today we're going to be talking about fun times drinking in college. We're also going to be talking about brewing beer back in the day. And we're also going to be talking about what we just brewed tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. Yeah. And today we're going to get started with the beer of the episode.
It is Einstock All Good.
It's a Icelandic toasted porter. I know that you guys have heard us talk about this this beer chart.
It's a beer calendar. It's kind of like a beer table.
Yeah, beer periodic table.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go. That's what
Science.
So we're gonna take this up a notch as far as what we're going to be doing, talking about the beer of the episode, or in some of our experiments we're going to start playing here. As Wes kind of already demonstrated or brought up, we're actually going to be brewing some stuff. But yeah, this is actually I think it's good. On this, I like porters already.
It has a very nice coffee taste to it.
But
it is brewed with that, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is a Baltic porter brewed with Icelandic roasted coffee.
We need to get the coffee at some point.
Yeah, I think we can. I think have you ever had Icelandic coffee?
No, I don't drink coffee at all, man.
I did not know that. I think I had.
I think I told you about that.
Oh, I pay attention so much.
Yeah.
The reason why I don't drink coffee is because caffeine gives me like really bad jitters.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oops.
It's definitely
this one has some coffee in it.
It's definitely a lot better though. It makes you want to try their coffee.
Yeah. So I made a comment that they describe this as like a medium weight as far as like the density. I think that's kind of I thought that was generous to call it that because it does have some weight. Now, Wes, you also made a comment for them in that region. That might be
Might be kind of
might be heavier,
or might be medium for them.
I was also gonna say that when we get their beers over here, at times we're not exactly getting an authentic product itself, so it might actually be heavier in their country.
True, and that's actually kind of interesting because, though I'm not saying that it's super heavy,
yeah,
because I can drink this. I think I could drink this all night and not feel like, damn, I feel bloated from me drinking nothing but porters. I think this it's light enough. I definitely, one of my favorite things about this is the jet black color. And when I say jet black, I'm holding it up to a light right now, and I cannot see through this.
It's black coffee.
It's
black coffee
this
beer.
Is black porter.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get this tattooed on me.
Yeah.
This is just gorgeous. So I think it's good. I personally, this was trying something new, trying a beer that we never, normally would go to. I will say this is definitely one I would repeat.
Yeah.
Going back to, I would buy it at a bar. Oh, what was it that I told you when you picked it up?
Shit.
About the cans?
Oh yeah, they're 11 ounces.
So,
11.2 ounces.
I mean, without obviously, you look at these cans, I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these cans? Why didn't Nick go and get the mini can version of beer? Like, who wants the mini can?
Mm-hmm. And then I realized
it's a regular Coke can is 12 ounces. Mm-hmm. This is 11.2.
Yep, 11.2.
So to me, that's really weird because that little bit, I knew.
11.2.
You're still high. So that
no, I'm not.
That 0.8. I mean, it's just funny that I was able to see that 0.8. It's such a little amount, not even 10%, and you can immediately realize something's wrong with this can. But it filled up the glass nice when the glasses are Dollar Tree glasses here.
Yeah, we get those Dollar Tree glasses that say "Drink Local" and then deep breaths, big sips.
I like how it's misspelled.
Well, it is Georgia. So.
God, that's great.
You can't tell if it's even like a joke anymore. You might actually be selling these on purpose with the misspelling because somebody at the factory was illiterate.
So cool. No, I actually like this topic. Now, granted, normally we have the topics at least planned out a couple days. This was literally as we were sitting down. We were like, all right, cool. We brewed something. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. Actually, we brewed more than one something.
Yeah, we were two.
So this is actually a cool little experiment. Literally also like today, everything was on the fly. And I was like, hey, do you want to do this today? And Nick's like, yeah, let's do this. So he's messaging Wes. He's like, yeah, we're gonna ferment something. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I found. Anyways, I'm gonna go into that because I'm excited about it. But Wes, I want to know. Do you remember? This is gonna sound really bad. Do you remember your first beer or your first taste of beer?
Yeah, I was in high school. I had like a party at my house. I've told Nick that this a few times. I was a pretty popular guy in high school, and it was my junior year, and my sister had a party planned, and I sort of crashed it because I invited like everybody from my grade and above to come, and 300 people ended up showing up. But I remember
that was also the first time he's ever had handcuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Placed on him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
But basically, it was a cool party. Everything was going really, really crazy. And this kid I knew, he brought a 6-pack of beer from his dad's fridge, and he brought Natural Light. And,
oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, so Natural Light, I guess, was technically my first beer, but not really. I did have beer for the first time when I was about 4 years old.
Okay.
No, 3 years old. 3 years old. My dad accidentally left a Bud Light sitting down, and I chugged it. But technically, if we want to get technical, the first time I ever tried a beer, just off cuff, was when I was about 11 years old. My dad, I grew up watching my dad drink so much, and so I went over to the fridge, and he had a 12-pack of Southpaw.
Oh God!
Do you remember that shit?
Yeah, I do. Oh my God, that's awesome.
So for all you youngins out there, Southpaw doesn't even exist anymore.
No, it does not.
And I don't think Red Dog does either.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does, but I'm gonna Google that right now.
You know what's great though?
I was actually about to say Red Dog.
But Southpaw was my first beer that I remember. And I remember my dad was passing on the couch. I opened up the fridge, and I was like, why does my dad like these so much? So I pulled one out and took a sip of it, and I almost spit it out. I was like, this is fucking awful.
Man, you realize that adults drink because they're sad.
Yeah. But really, I didn't really start getting a taste for beer till I was about 20 years old. I mean, I liked drinking beer in high school just because I liked how it made me feel fucked up, obviously, because that's what kids do. But I started experimenting with different beers. Like, I would get people to buy me alcohol.
Yeah.
I also had a fake ID, too. No, I'm not scared to admit that.
No, you're not.
Yeah, my cousin looked very much like me, so he gave me his ID, and I would use that all the time to buy alcohol, and because me and my cousin look pretty similar, and so at the time, my cousin was like 20. I don't know. He was like 25, I think,
Yeah.
and he looked pretty young for his age, so he gave me his ID. And when I was about 20, I was in college, or when I was about 19, 20, I was in, college. I mean, I got the fake ID when I was 18, but when I was about 19 years old, I went to Florida, down to Panama City Beach, and my buddies made me like the official beer man of that trip. So there was this drugstore, there was this convenience store that we'd go to because the word on the street was they didn't really look at IDs very closely.
Yeah.
So we went there, and I just rolled in there with a shopping cart. And I filled this bitch up with like literally I had like a list of beer requests. 30-pack of Keystone, 30-pack of Natural Light, 30-pack of I don't know, like Miller High Life, and
That's
then
rough, dude.
I mean, but when you're 19 years old, you don't fucking give a shit.
Well, I was just thinking to myself, like, this guy. Okay, so I don't know about you guys. Like, I know like the beer I like to drink. If I'm gonna like go out and we're gonna party or whatever, I know the beer I'm probably gonna gravitate to, especially if I'm going to like a beach or something like that.
Yeah.
This guy knew you were underage when you brought like 18 different types of beer. This guy's like, look, people who drink, we stick to our one beer.
Yeah.
I can justify 2, maybe 3, but he's coming up here with like 7 or 8 different brands, obscure amounts. Yeah. This guy knew what you were doing.
He knew what we were doing, but I could tell he was very eager to sell it to us.
He was probably like one of those guys who's like who doesn't have the morals. He's just like, I'm not going to sell you those cigarettes. Wink, wink. Meet me out back.
Yeah, so basically, I wanted a variety pack of Samuel Adams because back when I was 19, Samuel Adams was like our favorite beer from my buddies because that was like our favorite good beer, right?
Yeah.
So I got a 12-pack of the miscellaneous, variety pack of Samuel Adams, and we went back to our condo. We were at Sandpiper Beacon. You know where that is? Did you ever go to Panama City Beach?
Yeah.
Sandpiper Beacon was that party resort.
Okay.
And so
it's been a long time since I've been in Panama City, but yeah.
So we brought that there, and we literally had 4 coolers, like big fucking coolers that we stole from our dads, obviously.
Your alcoholic dads.
We didn't pay for that.
Your alcoholic dads who are like, where's my fucking cooler?
So we're just like, we crack these bitches open, and we just pour all those. So we put all the shitty beers in each individual cooler, but the good beer, we kept secret.
That's good.
Yep, and I'll never forget. We had some girls next door that wanted to party with us, and man, these girls were fucking hot. I mean, every girls that go to Panama City are fucking hot, but like, they came up to me and they were like rubbing my chest. This is back when I was in really good shape when I was like 19. These girls come over and they're like rubbing my chest. I'm sitting there with a Boston lager.
It's hot as shit outside. I'm drinking a Boston lager.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool. Sitting there with my Ray-Bans and my fucking like rainbow sandals, and I'm talking to this girl, and she's like, "Hey, Wes, I heard that you can get alcohol," and I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Can you take us to the store? We want to buy some alcohol and put it here with you guys so we can have things to time to hang out." So I rode with them over to Walmart, and they had like a sale going on. They had this off-brand Limeritas.
Oh God!
And of course they want to buy those because they're cheap, and so they buy it's like 50 cents a can or something like that. So they buy like 30 of them.
I love it.
And we put
best $15 you've ever spent.
Yep.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Yeah, and she put it in there, and then as we were leaving, she was like, "Oh wait, we need to go to the liquor store real quick." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And so we roll over to the liquor store, and I'm taking a risk because this is like 3 different places where I'm using this fucking fake ID.
Someone's got to catch on.
But no, they didn't. So I roll up.
That's a question for Florida man. How stupid? Now wait, don't say that, James. How smart are the Florida people?
Well, the Florida people are known to put loaded magazines inside their microwave. They're also known to eat people's faces when high on bath salts.
Well, we rolled up into that little liquor store because liquor stores are in all grocery stores down there.
Oh, yeah.
And so we roll up into the liquor store, and they gave me the cash, and they were like, "Okay, we want Mr. Boston." They're like, "We want Mr. Boston Barnett's."
Love it.
And it was some really cheap. They also wanted some really cheap rum and some really cheap tequila. So I ended up buying all that stuff for them. And they ended up buying a bunch of shit to make Hunch Punch, and we ended up making Hunch Punch. Dude, we had I'm pretty sure we had more alcohol than a fraternity party, dude.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
That's a party for the ages because most people can't get that much alcohol when they're 19.
Okay, so that's your first experiences. Nick, let's hear what you got.
Okay.
Do you remember the first beer you
I can remember the first drink.
No,
first beer only?
First beer only.
Okay, so I was 8 or 10 years old. My uncle gave me some Heineken.
Okay, all right. I mean, hey, look. That's
Not that much of a Heineken fan, but, when you're 8 years old, you feel kind of cool because, you're looking up to all those people that are drinking. Because, everyone's, drinking all the time. And that's at, family functions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Grandma gives you Sambuca sometimes.
That's true.
But that's Italian grandmas for you.
What's that shit that old women used to drink? It's called sherry, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, it's sherry.
So at some point we're gonna try some sherry here out. It's sherry. That's it's a type of whiskey, isn't it?
I thought it was
type of wine or something.
I thought it was like a gin.
That's a gin.
I don't know. I always see old people drinking prohibition drinks.
I'm not thinking maybe it's sherry.
Prohibition drinks.
They're just let's go to the gym party.
Real quick. We talked about Red Dog real fast. Red Dog became popular in 1994. That's when I hit that. Now, it did like kind of creep out, but it still exists. It's returned to the storefront in 2005, and it's priced around like the Miller High Life Milwaukee Best kind of.
So you can still buy it in the store?
Yeah, we'll have to track some down. But
if we can find some Southpaw now.
Southpaw would be great.
Hey, look, I just found out that they sell Mickeys around here. I was blown away because that's a Chicago.
I've had that.
It's a Chicago thing. So, but yeah, I know. I mean, yeah. So sherry, that's what I was looking up.
Yeah.
Since Nick is worthless when it comes to looking things up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up. Let's see, sherry.
Anyways.
So sherry is a wine. I feel like
sherry is a wine.
I mean, what am I thinking of?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sherry.
No, I think you're thinking of schnapps.
No, that's not.
Old ladies love schnapps.
Oh, Southpaw was brewed by Miller.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Miller beer, though.
Yeah, that's so nostalgic.
Let me see that shit.
Yes, I would drink it.
My old man. This is what my old man would drink when I was in the '90s when I was a kid.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I would come home and, it's funny. My dad had a pitcher. I'll have to show it to you guys. I have it somewhere over here. It's in my stuff over here. I'll show it to y'all. But it's a picture of my dad and his buddies playing on a guitar, and they have a bunch of beers sprawled out. And you know what they were drinking?
What's that?
It was Milwaukee's Best Ice.
Dude, Milwaukee's Best is like a good beer when you need to just get... No, when I'm saying... ice is bad. But I'm saying Milwaukee's Best is like a good beer when you're just trying to get fucked up for cheap.
Ice beer. Like, that is such a weird... I don't even think ice beer is up there. Wow. Ice beer is such a weird variety of beer.
I'm going to glance here.
Wes, this Bud Light Next is like weird.
That's what I told you.
That's not even right.
I know. Remember when I had the video I sent you?
It does taste like water.
Isn't what I described to you? It's like when you have like a cup left over from the night before and it's got a little bit of beer in it and then you
fill it up with water. Yeah,
that's exactly what it tastes like to me.
It really does. It's so nasty, but I'm gonna keep drinking it.
Yeah. I feel like one of those would be really good after a fucking like a really good workout. You're like, oh man,
I need to get some beer in me. Stay hydrated.
You know what? My blood's pumping really well right now. I wonder how fast I'll get.
Hey, let's go in here and hydrate. Puts a gallon of this shit out there.
We should do a fake commercial for this.
Wow, you know what?
Literally, we're in the gym working out, and like you look in the camera and go, "Hi, my name is Nick." And I'm an alcoholic.
As an alcoholic, I also like to work out so that people think that I'm not some kind of ridiculous shut-in. So what I started drinking was Bud Light Next. Bud Light Next is like a beer. It's a lot lighter.
So I realized I messed up. Here we went to the store, got all this stuff. We were supposed to tie 240s.
No, I 40 hands. I got out of the hospital. So.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, he did go to the hospital since. Idiot.
That meme. It's not my fault. My body
I actually
decided to shut down.
I thought about you earlier this week. I went to the store and was getting some gas, and I walked over to the beer aisle in the store, and they had 240s of Yingling. I was like, oh man, that'd be fun to make him drink those.
I love it. Well, the thing is, it could be anything. We can put anything we want in it.
Yeah, I just thought the Yingling would be funnier because it's not like light beer.
You know what? That could very well. I don't think we should tell them what beer we pick. Matter of fact, you know what? Hey, Wes, I think this is what we should do. You will pick out a beer, and then I will pick out a beer. They will not be the same beer, but they have to be a 40.
Don't tempt me, man, because I'll give them something like a Colt 45 or something, dude.
I'm good with that. Because
terrible, bro.
Old English.
Old English.
That's some dark.
You're gonna do an Old English. I'm gonna find.
Actually, you know what? I'm good with I've been drinking Old English.
Double stout Guinness.
A 40? You think they'd have 40 ounce of that?
Dude, I will make a phone call.
Make a phone call, dude. And you keep that back talk, dude. We're gonna go get 2 growlers, dude. So you better stop, dude.
God, 64 ounces. All right. Well, so my first experience that I could really recall. I remember I was like 5 or 6, and my dad was. It was me and my dad. We were on the grill, right in front of our garage, and we're making this. I'm sure we're making like Italian sausages because we're Italian and we eat a lot of sausage.
St.
Yeah, I know. I just realized when I said that, I'm like, oh, Nick's having fantasies about Italian sausage.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was sitting there beside me, and he was drinking a Miller Lite, and he just looked at me and looked at his Miller Lite and looked at me, and he hands me the can, and I'm like looking at him like, am I about to get in trouble? Like how far can I go before he yells at me? And I took a couple like really big. I ended up drinking half of a Miller, and I remember thinking to myself, this stuff tastes like shit, but he's letting me do it. So but growing up in my family, though, we never like alcohol was not taboo. I mean, I've drank wine with that we had in the house.
Well, was it Miller Lite or was it Miller Genuine Draft or was it?
Oh no, it was light. It was definitely light.
Okay.
But that's the same
Because
thing.
the Miller Genuine Draft is their original beer that they came out with back in the day.
See, I thought that was the Banquet.
Maybe it was the Banquet.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought Banquet was Coors though.
No, it's cool. I thought it was a Coors.
You know
Banquet.
what? You're right. It's just all the same to me, though. Like,
Well, Miller and Coors are the same company.
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, I think
So
they
much
merged. They merged many years ago.
I think it was early on too.
Yeah. And people don't realize this, but the really cheap versions of beers are just watered down versions of those beers. Like for instance, Natural Light is basically just Bud Light, but it's worse.
Yeah.
Because it's watered down.
It's watered down. And then what is Keystone Light? Keystone Light is a watered down version of Coors Light.
Yeah.
And then Milwaukee's Best. Sorry, I know you like it, but it's a watered down version of Miller Lite.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So and
that's the thing. That's the bastard side of American American with beer. Now I say that because I'm not talking about all these wonderful little gastropubs and these local joints, because our goal is to
Become like them.
well, yeah, but I mean to hit as many of these, and I think next week we're probably going to do a Georgia beer.
Yeah.
We would have done it this time, but we couldn't pass up the awesome Viking beer that we're drinking.
well, if we do a Georgia beer, we should do one from Gainesville. Do my Left Nut. That'd be kind of cool.
Left Nut's pretty good.
I like Left Nut. We can do that. Nick, you got to remind me. We will have to swing by Left Nut, and I mean, I think that'd be good if
Be a good sponsor opportunity.
a good sponsor opportunity, and it would not be a bad way to maybe see if we can get Pap to jump on the show. And
Yeah.
I think that should be a goal. I don't know about you guys. I maybe it's
That's a good goal.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking like we start getting like the brewmasters and the especially here in Georgia, because we have so many amazing ones.
Yeah.
I mean, up that way we have Tantrum. We have them. We have Three Ranger over in Dahlonega. Who am I missing?
There's Terrapin up in Athens.
Terrapin up in Athens. Southern. Forgot there's Southern as well.
And then if we want to drive a little bit, we can go to Marietta to Red Rabbit.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
And we can get all
Atlanta Brewing Company's pretty close by to me here. And then Sweetwater is right down the street from here as well.
And so it should be a goal that
Urban Tree.
your goal is also to get them all on, like their brewmasters on here.
Well, I mean, I'd imagine we would have
Company
to go to them.
And then there's Nofo Brewing over in
Dawsonville,
which is pretty cool.
I might have a connection. I think I know one of the chemists for them.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone in there a few times in the past, so maybe we could talk to them.
Ooh,
Pretty awesome, too.
What's the one over? I'm thinking of. It's in Athens. It's they have an owl.
An owl?
An owl.
I know what you're talking about.
It's Academia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Academia. They've been putting out a lot of fun stuff here lately.
Yeah, I mean, and then, we wanted to talk to Downtown Drafts, too, about sponsorship.
Yeah.
True story.
And then we also wanted to go hit up that nerdy arcade bar.
The nerdy arcade bar was fun, though, when we did it out here in Atlanta.
Yeah, we're talking about going over the one over in Gainesville and trying to get them to sponsor us, too. We're trying to find local sponsors so we can, because if we can get sponsors, I think it'd be good for, advertisements and stuff.
Also, we can
add
do a lot
more
of
ads.
weird stuff.
Well, okay, so that kind of goes into, all right, so we talked, that was my first time ever drinking beer that I can remember.
Yeah.
But I do remember this one time. I have a buddy of mine named Rob. Me and Rob we've been pretty close. We actually hated each other when we first met one another. 12 years old and, a whole lot of testosterone that is flourishing. So we did not get along, but it didn't take long for us to reconcile on the, finding that mutual ground of of respect. But I remember he came over one time, and my dad has always been cool with if I wanted to have a drink, he never made me feel bad wanting to try something. But so Rob came over. We were getting ready to go to a paintball game with a church that we were going to, and we were listening to my dad's records on his record player. In the beginning, it was not very loud at all. Matter of fact, I remember the song "Hotel California" was playing on one of the vinyls that he had. So, but we wanted to have a drink. And here's me and Rob. We actually would go and steal my dad's liquor from his liquor cabinet, like any kid would, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm like thinking to myself, dude, I had this like Eclipso pina colada juice thing that has no juice in it at all. It's pretty horrible for you, but it tastes like pina colada. And I'm like, dude, Rob, go grab that rum. We'll make pina coladas. And we poured it in. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. And we're drinking this. Now, that was the first drink. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, hey, we can't steal any more of my dad's rum. But they have a bottle of wine open. So him and I are drinking this wine. Now, this is like not even a cool thing. Like, we're not even cool. But we're listening to Hotel California. We turned it up way too loud. I woke up my dad. He comes out. And both of us have like a wine glass in our hand. And he goes, hey guys, can y'all just turn it down a little bit? Like, you know, and here we're literally like, we can't move. I have a glass of wine in my hand. So does Rob. My dad looks at us. I'm like, yeah, Dad, sorry. And I turned down the volume and I'm just waiting for, like, he turned around. I'm like, so waiting for him to turn back around and be like, you're grounded because you and your buddy are drinking, you know, like, first off, my wine, but you're stealing and all that other fun stuff. Anyways, it's absolutely stupid, but I was like, wow. I can't believe we got away with that. Now, I don't know if my dad just didn't have his glasses on the right way and he didn't see. I'm not sure. Anyways, I will say that these Bud Light Next, it's not bad. I see what you were saying before, though. It kind of has that...
water taste.
Yeah, make ultra lightness to it. You said it had zero carbs.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of was attracted to it because, like, you know, I think engineering and technology is getting better as our civilization keeps going, and you know, I think, you know, this right here, even though the taste isn't like the best, I think it's like a step in the right direction. Like, this is the kind of beer you could drink if you're on the beach in the middle of the day and you don't want to like get too dehydrated. You know?
Yeah. Or bloated.
Or bloated, yeah.
You want to keep that beach bod showing.
Yeah.
Not beach ball.
Well, I see here it's 4% alcohol, 80 calories. That's no carbs. So this is this is brewed down, so every bit of sugar has been removed.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's people don't know how beer, cider, wine. I'm sure if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you're a degenerate. Let's just be real. You're a degenerate. If you are, then I'm sure all of you already know that alcohol, like whether it's juice, barley, whatever, fermenting, however you do it, you have to have sugar. So whatever the sugar content was in this, they literally ferment it to where there's no sugar left, and it's all bacteria piss.
That's amazing.
So I'm okay with it. That's why it's so crisp, though. It's because
very crisp.
There's no sweet to it.
Yeah, it really warms my heart.
So, Wes, I was told that while in college, you were seeked to be a provider, as men should be. We're called to be providers. But you were a provider of booze. Now, and I don't mean just I have a fake ID, but an actual master of sorts.
Yeah, so I started brewing beer back in 2010 was the first time I ever brewed a beer.
Okay.
I went to this beer supply store. It was actually over here in Gainesville because I was still going to college. I was, I took a break from college like once or twice. But when I was still going to college around that time, me and my friend that I live with, we started getting into beer. Like, we started liking the way beers taste. And I was like, man, dude, we should try to make our own beer sometime. And he's like, cool. So we went over to this beer supply store over here in, over there in Gainesville. And it was pretty cool. We went in there, and the guy was very cool. He talked like this. He's a very, like, old school dude, very libertarian. And, he just like, he's like, you can brew your beer. He just like, just the way he talked, it was so funny.
That store is no longer there.
Yeah, that's what you told me.
I confirmed that when I was looking for a store to get our supplies today, which is really kind of sad. I used to have all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden I realized as I was going through my stash to do the next mead,
you realized you were out.
I was like, shit. I have no one-way valves.
Well, I will also say my dad brewed his own beer too back in the early 2000s, late 90s. So he had a bunch of stuff left over from that too, so he kind of gifted me a bunch of stuff. But I went in there, and the guy was like, hey, you want to brew beer? That's cool. But it's going to be, since this is your first time, maybe you should do something that's easier to do. So he suggested an American lager.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did.
Pretty hard to fuck that up.
Yeah. So an American style, like, it wasn't a lager, it was an ale. It was an American style ale, which is really, like you said, it's really hard to fuck up. Mm-hmm. Not overly, like, intense in terms of, like, the hoppiness. So he gave me, like, this beer kit that came with it. Made 5 gallons of beer. And so the first time I ever made a beer, it was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it was okay. I'm pretty good at following directions, but there's a certain, nuances of it that I didn't really understand at the time. I remember right after that, I left my girlfriend at the time. We kind of went our separate ways. I kind of lost some of my equipment. And so in 2012, I ended up coming back to I came back up here, but by the time I came back, it was
North Georgia.
It was North Georgia at that point. So me and my friend Joe, a good friend of mine,
good old Joe.
Nick knows Joe pretty well. Was like, hey, you used to brew beer? I was like, yeah. He's like, we should do it again. I was like, well, let's do something like inexpensive this time. So we bought this thing called Mr. Beer.
I remember Mr. Beer.
And so we get Mr. Beer.
Another one where you really can't fuck up.
Yeah.
By the way, Mr. Beer, if you want to be a sponsor, you can look us up and we will endorse the shit out of you. You got to keep us full of beer though.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But also know that we're degenerates.
We're not going to wait for the full period.
So we ordered the Mr. Beer kit, and we ordered the pale ale kit, and we made the beer. And it turned out really good because it's hard to fuck up.
Yeah.
But we did that, and we're like, man, this is really good. So me and Joe took some of our money, and we went to that guy again, the guy that talks like this. And then, he.
The thing is, I know exactly. I know this guy.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. I met this guy. I bought stuff from him myself.
Beer? He sticks his teeth out, his bottom row his teeth out.
super nice guy. Love him to death. I was pretty sad when I realized that he folded shop.
Yeah, it's probably because he didn't. The economy probably wasn't in his favor. If I'm being honest.
Probably.
No, it was bad times.
Yeah, so. We went there, and this motherfucker sold us on the $300 kit. So we had all the goddamn we had the buckets, we had the fucking, you saw the giant ass spoon.
Yeah.
He fucking sold me that shit.
Spoon.
You saw that fucking really fancy gravity gravimeter I have in there.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to actually talk about that. That's gonna be fun.
But basically, we made instead of, and the funny thing is this time around, instead of actually brewing a kit, we started making our own recipes. Yeah.
No shit, going in.
Yeah. So we ended up making a couple recipes, and I made a strawberry lager, and it was really good.
I love a strawberry lager.
Yeah.
So this is actually pretty cool. So you got into playing with this back in college. Now this is actually pretty cool. I think so. So it is not, or everybody knows, it's illegal. If you were under the age of 21 to go and buy alcohol, we all know that. But it is not illegal for you to buy the stuff you need to brew. And now this is like, and we'll talk more about that here shortly when we get to that part. But just think it's so cool that, you know what, hey, cool, I can't buy alcohol,
but I can make
it. I can make it. Now I'm gonna skip Nick here for a second because I already know his answer. So I got into the first thing I ever made. I made a moonshine before I made a beer. And I thought to myself, like, I actually watched like video after video. I had a couple friends of mine, army buddies that used to do it as well. And I'm like, dude, I can do this. So here I am. I'm in North Carolina at the time, and we made our own brew. And I'm telling you, not brew. I say brew. We made our own, basically Everclear version moonshine.
Damn.
And I remember when the one line, the copper line that we had, we just pulled off that batch, and one of the guys lit a cigarette and was standing beside it.
Jesus.
And was a little too close. The heat from the cigarette lit the fuel in the line, like lit the fermented what was fermenting in the line. And we saw this like bright, beautiful blue whip around, like, you know, shoot out the other end. And I was like, oh my God, like, all I can think of myself is like, dude, this is like
gonna explode.
This is gonna kill us.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was like, yeah, this is gonna explode. So I sad to say I didn't jump onto the brewing side until I did get a Mr. Brew. I did the same thing. I did not do the IPA. I did a brown ale. It was delicious. You couldn't fuck it up to save your life. And my buddy, buddy Brian, who was still serving in the military, we would go and do one almost like every 2 weeks, because we'd be finished with the beer we made, but we were going through it really fast. And then we actually tried our 5-gallon kit. We did the $350 lunge and bought the whole kit. And we started doing a couple of recipes, but our problem was we really pushed the yeast. It was really hard to wait, for it to fully finish. So I say this because I already know Nick's answer. Hey, Nick, when was the first time you brewed something?
Today.
Yeah. Nick he's a virgin. Now, his butthole is not a virgin, but we just popped his cherry, his brew cherry. So we're conducting an experiment. So I'm going to let, Wes knows all the fancy terms.
Yeah.
Wes, can you give us a layout of what we did today?
Sure. What we did today is we basically had we had one carboy, but we also had another container that was made out of glass, and basically it's shaped kind of similar to the carboy. Mm-hmm. And basically what we did is we it's just like it's similar to making wine. You basically take some juice of some kind. In this case, we used apple juice because he wants to make like a really hard cider.
Really hard cider.
Really hard.
And so, which could be in the realm of a apple wine in some cases because it's the same alcohol percentage as a wine.
Yeah, this was actually a pretty fun little experiment.
But basically what he did is he had, champagne, yeast, and he had some, he had what's known as a bubbler that goes in the top that makes it where, air doesn't go in, but air can go out. But basically what we did is we mixed, we had some brown sugar. We mixed half of it in one and half of it in the other. And we mixed it up to make sure it was nice and mixed. And, you got to make sure you sterilize everything, before you really get into it. But we also had a gravimeter, and we had to check the original gravity to kind of see what the potential gravity is going to be for what we're making.
Yeah, originally we weren't gonna use the gravimeter at all. We were just gonna be like, all right, let's make a guess. We knew so with the juice that we used one filter juice where it's perfectly clear. A lot of you guys will know White House applesauce or White House Farms. That was the apple juice that we used. It was 100% apple juice. There's no additives. It didn't say anything about it ever being frozen either.
Yeah.
So theoretically, without us pressing it as fresh as we're going to get in a regular store. We also found an unfiltered juice. That's the carboy shaped container that Wes was just talking about. That was also already at a gallon. It's unfiltered. It's cloudy. It has sediment at the bottom. Ironically enough, both had the same amount of sugar at the start, right? 28 grams for a serving for each. And if I'm remembering right, the filtered version had 130 calories. Mm-hmm. And the filtered version, or unfiltered version, sorry, had 120. So for whatever reason,
there's 10 more calories.
There's 10 more calories on the filtered version.
Yeah, but it's interesting because the unfiltered one has the higher gravity, because the higher gravity is like 12.5% versus the 11.5% for the filtered one.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually said that. So that was once we had that, we used like I said, like a brown sugar, or there's a different name for it. It's turbulated sugar. It's sugar that doesn't have the extract out yet, so it's pure sugar cane. We took a pound of sugar, which sounds so crazy. Wes, I know I brought this up, like when you looked at just putting the sugar in the carboy without juice in it. Did it not look like a lot to you, Nick?
It did.
Like I was like, damn, like this is normal. So the carboy that we had that already had the juice in it, we poured that in there. So we were able to see what it looked like pre-juice, and then when we added the juice again. But then when we checked the gravity on it, with both having the same amount of sugar, with both having the juice being already at the same amount of sugar, the unfiltered version, like you said, had 1 to 1.5 more gravity.
Yeah,
so that actually was pretty interesting, personally.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, like on average, like a beer is like between 3 to like 6%. Anything under 3% is what's called a near beer, which is basically like
you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, not really trying hard enough. But basically, a near beer is just something that has close to the alcohol content of a beer, but it's not really like it could taste like a beer, but it doesn't have the regular alcohol, because a regular beer has like 5 is like the sweet spot for a beer. Obviously there's some special blends that are higher.
Yeah, like there's like some IPAs where they'll double shock it.
Yeah, like the heaviest beer I've ever had was from Founders. It was called the Triple Devil. Mm-hmm. And it was like 11% alcohol.
Ooh, okay, so that's strong.
Burn the back of my throat.
Yeah.
Well, so real quick, we had a little bit of the juice from both of them. We actually did have it mixed together. These two together. Don't ask me why we had this mixed together. It's kind of a long story, but for the record, both had exactly the exact same amount of juice.
Yeah.
The exact same amount of sugar, and pretty close to the same amount of yeast. Now we did have a batch of this mixed together, but of the juice without any sugar added to it. And when we checked the gravity of that, you said, Wes, what, 6%?
Yeah, 6%. Like 5.5, 6%, something like that.
So that shows you how much more that the sugar, when we added the sugar to it, it bumped it up greatly. Like Wes said, we put champagne yeast in it. This yeast is pretty typical, anywhere between 11 to 16% for the ABV. I took a guess, knowing how much sugar was in it. I said 16. No, Wes, you said 16.
Yeah.
You said 15.
I said 15.
And I said 14.
Yeah, so we literally are a little educated guess. Now, like Nick said, he said 14. I said 15. Wes said 16. If that was before we checked the gravity, obviously, yes. And it was literally just going based on, and I also did not check the yeast. So this champagne yeast that we're using, I had no idea beforehand.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of curious about this. So we're going to check it every week. We're going to take a glance at it every week. Our goal is to keep it going for 4 weeks?
Yeah, about a month.
Yep.
And then at that point, we'll batch it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you'll see results in 2 weeks, but a month if you really want it to look good, and then you can batch it and let it sit for another 2 weeks, and it can be good.
Yeah.
We could probably do that.
Theoretically speaking, we can drink it right then and there, but what happens is you're gonna taste the alcohol in it. It needs to have a little bit of time to settle. So Nick's first time ever brewing anything, and we're doing this like modified cider.
Prison wine.
You know what? Bruno? Is that what it's called? Prison wine?
Yeah.
Bruno?
No, it's Pruno.
Pruno.
Yeah, and they make it in the toilet.
Yep.
You
Toilet
know,
wine.
I think we could try that.
So I do got a story. So around the time I started brewing beer with Joe, we decided to make our own wine for the first time.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we did it the cheapest poor man way to do it. So what we did is we grabbed what? Yeah, we got some Welch's and we got a bottle. And so what you do is you take the bottle, you sterilize it, put the Welch's in there, add the sugar in there, add the champagne yeast in there. But when you close it, you don't use a carboy. You put a cap on top and put a balloon in there on top.
Did I not say that?
And you poke the balloon with a few holes, and then you put rubber bands around the balloon, and you let it sit there for 2 weeks, and then
Did I not say that?
Yeah, you did.
Then you have like cheap ass fucking wine.
So
White trash wine.
So I told him that before we went and got like all the stuff that we did, I was like, look, I go, one way or another, we're gonna make this work. If I have to go get a balloon, poke some holes in it, and do exactly what you said.
Yeah, and if you want to be even more trashier, you'll just go to your local grocery store and get bread yeast.
Yeah,
I said that. So there was the lady who was checking us out. She was like, "Oh, what do y'all do with all of this?" I'm like, "Actually, we're about to ferment it." And she's like, Really? How do you do that?" So I'm like, "Okay, real quick, short and easy way to do this." I was like, open this up. The bottle's already sterile. Take out so much. Add your sugar into it. I go, we're doing a gallon container. So that's what we're shooting for as far as our quantity. And then I was like, so you take a gallon. So for every gallon of juice, you're going to do a 1 pound of sugar. And I told her, I'm like, make sure that it's like a turbulated sugar, not a pure white, not a bleached sugar.
Yep. And that's what we use. We use bleached sugar.
Oh God!
So it really was like ghetto as hell.
Yeah. Well, so
you made prison wine.
Well, then I told her, I'm like, if you don't, you can ferment with bread yeast. It does it the same. It
just doesn't taste good.
It doesn't taste. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've had stuff where we fermented it with bread yeast, and it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't supposed to be good either. No. This we did go fancier on the yeast. Definitely, we definitely stepped it up a notch.
Yeah, we did.
And I will say it'll scare the fuck out of you the first time, because if you put it in your closet and you're sleeping, you'll hear this. You hear like a little whistle sound. And
it's just releasing the gas.
Yeah, it's funny.
So we were actually using a pretty decent champagne yeast. There's tons and tons of different types of of yeast that you can use. There's a reason why we picked the champagne yeast, and why we're using a wine yeast as opposed to like a beer yeast. But hey, you know what? We knew that the amount of sugar that we added to this, that champagne yeast was gonna have plenty to feed on.
Yeah,
it's definitely gonna have a lot.
Makes sense.
So I'm kind of excited. We'll batch this in a month, but we are going to take a glance at it. I was even advised once a week to re-oxidize the batch.
Makes sense.
And to do a couple good shakes to let the yeast swirl a little bit. But it's been long enough. What time is it? Yeah, it's been long enough for it to
possibly start showing us things.
Start showing some activation. So I'm excited. And you actually got a little section back there, so it can be completely in the dark. I love this.
Yeah, what's really funny about it is I knew this dumb motherfucker in college. He was a dumb son of a bitch. He's like, I want to make some alcohol, but let's make it a different way. And me and Joe kind of looked at him and were like, what do you mean make it a different way? He's like, well, I don't like sugar, so can we make it with like an artificial sweetener instead of regular sugar? And me and Joe just kind of looked at each other and we were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks at us and goes, what? And we're like, I was like, what is the yeast going to eat? And he goes, they'll eat the artificial sugar. And I'm like, no, they won't.
You dumb
They're
bitch.
not stupid.
You dumb bitch.
Yes, I get it. They're one-cell organisms, but actually, probably not.
Unicellular?
Is it unicellular? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I mean, that's how much shits I give. I just know that, you know what? I need the little things to piss out the good things for me to drink later. So that
You
goes
need
into
the bacteria to poop.
Well, I mean, that goes actually. So this is actually kind of neat. So one of the things I love making meads. That's on my love list.
We got to do that.
Well, we are going to be doing a batch, so I'm actually we're in the process of doing that. Wes and I we're going to strategize a little bit. I'm still thinking a champagne yeast, but you can tell me what your thoughts are. But we're going to do a cherry mead.
Ooh.
I have most of the ingredients that I need.
I saw.
I wrote the house. I just need to get a couple more things. So that this is my experience with cherry meads. That's my favorite. First off, I love cherries. It's my favorite fruit. I mean, I crush cherries. They can't be in my house. So of course I want to do a cherry mead. Now, the first time I ever did a cherry mead, this is my mess up. So here I am. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I love the way cherries taste. I love the tart. I love how sweet they are. So what did I do? I bought cherry juice. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do some cherry juice. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna ferment it. I'm gonna do it as cherry mead, just like we did today. We took a couple sips of the juice before. Mm-hmm. So I'm drinking this. I'm like, oh, good. It's like nice and sweet. Well, I did not realize that if you use cherry juice, pure regular sweet cherry juice,
It's really acidic.
that it is very acidic. Of course, you're adding the honey already into the equation as well. And then we're going to ferment it. When I was done, it literally tastes like cough syrup. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with this? And I'm like, I did everything. I even let it age a little bit to get some of that overly alcohol.
You can get that flavor in.
Yeah.
So what most people don't realize, this is the process of making alcohol. So you have the sugar. The sugar becomes alcohol after the yeast eats it. And then if you let it sit out even longer, it turns into vinegar. That's basically where vinegar comes from. Mm-hmm. Most people don't realize this. That's why when you go to the store and you get vinegar, it either says white wine vinegar or red wine vinegar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it's made from wine. Just a fun fact.
And even some of them will still have alcohol in them, of course.
Yeah.
Now you do let them sit out. You do let certain things sit out a little bit to kind of that punchy, pungent alcohol taste in it.
Well, the way you make alcohol is a similar way you make cheese. It's just fermenting like milk into cheese, basically.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So now the catch was I used sweet cherries, like regular cherries, but they're sweet cherries. And then it was brought to my attention that you're supposed to use tart cherries. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, tart cherries? I'm like, no, I don't want it to taste tarty. I want it to taste...
Yeah,
like
a cherry,
like a cherry, like like cherry juice, but with booze.
Yeah.
So I did what I was told. I got the tart cherry juice. I got the honey. Again, super primitive. You don't have to make it complicated to make something amazing. Mm-hmm. So quite literally, tart cherry juice, honey, yeast, and thyme.
Okay.
And I was when it finished, I was like, I batched it. I let it age for another 2 months. I was like, you gotta be kidding me! This is amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, and I was like, well, why? And then they're like, yeah, the tart cherry. If you start something off with sweet, it's literally gonna get that syrupy
shit feeling.
Yeah, like it literally. I mean, it might as well have been. It might as well have been.
So one thing I always say to people, if you really want your alcohol to taste better too, you let it age in barrels too, especially like oak barrels.
That makes sense.
It tastes really good.
Yeah, at some point we'll have to do that. We'll have to get a
little mini oak barrel.
Yeah,
that could be a lot of fun.
Well, I know that we talked about not just brewing some cider, some beers. I was like, yeah, let's do.
The beer that I'd want us to brew is probably a stout. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I like that idea. Well, we're coming into spring really fast. Mm-hmm. maybe we can get creative. What do you think about doing? What do you think about doing a strawberry habanero lager?
That sounds actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that.
I mean, I'm all about a stout, but I'm a seasonal drinker.
The jalapeno thing is like catching on with the beers.
Well,
we
so
could do that.
Left Nut did a strawberry habanero ale, and it's still one of my favorites. But they only, of course, release it during the summertime. So I mean, we can get froggy. Hey, like maybe we can get a good recipe and be like, hey, Pap, you should brew this and give us royalties.
Yeah. Give us them royalties. We need monies.
So
we're at the top of the hour. We got 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess the conclusion though is with drinking. When I was younger, my first drinks. Another thing that I had, one of my early drinks too was Arbor Mist wine. and I only had that because that's what my mom had in the fridge.
Fucking Jack
Arbor Mist,
Daniels.
Jack
Daniels.
We're talking about Arbor Mist, and he's like Jack Daniels.
Well, first Sambuca, then Jack Daniels.
I've never liked liquor, dude.
I hate it as well.
I
love it.
It's really, really bad for your fucking organs, man.
So we're gonna have to, that means that we need to ferment our own
And make it safe.
Yeah, we're gonna make safe. That's what the name of our distillery. Our distillery is gonna be called. Safe alcohol. Safe liquor. We're gonna get sued the first week.
No. The way you don't get sued is you add an extra e on the end or an extra f in there, and they're like, "Oh no, see, it's safe, like a name."
It's Safe.
Safe. No, I like that. God.
Yeah, Safe liqueur.
Liqueur. Yeah. Blame the French. Okay.
So you said your liquor was safe. No, it's SAFF. There's no.
No, it's SAFEE. Safe.
You remember that country, Ukraine?
Yeah. What happened to it?
Yeah, well, this is a liquor from one of their people. Safe. No, we can have some fun with this.
The ancient Ukrainians taught us how to make
ancient Ukrainians. That's horrible. Because not having a president that gives a shit. I think his political advisor, Michael Moore. Yeah.
Potato.
Yeah.
Potato.
Yeah. Some people say potato. I say Michael Moore. They're both lazy sacks of shit. They're like, look.
You can actually get more out of a potato, though.
Two things that come in a sack. Potato and Michael Moore.
The only thing is, one of them can actually be ground up into vodka.
Yeah.
The other one's Michael Moore.
We got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left.
Any final thoughts?
Well, the beer was great, and I think we should definitely keep brewing. We might find ourselves into something nice.
Yeah.
Cool and weird brewing.
And just for shits and giggles, we'll even do a Mr. Beer kit for y'all.
We'll do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that
Cool weird beer kit.
The two ciders. One is a non-filtered. The other one is a filtered. They both have a pound of sugar in them, and we're using a champagne yeast that should yield anywhere between 11 to 16%, which that's a huge number.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a small range. I immediately said that there's no reason we shouldn't get 10% before I even started doing the calculations. And I'm like, and if we get a 6%, then we just didn't let the yeast, do its thing long enough.
The yeast, not the east.
Yeah, no, this is the Kanye West East.
East-West Conference?
Yeah. So, and after this episode is done, we'll take a glance because the bacteria should be the yeast should be dancing at this point.
Yeah, we got to make sure they're not dirty dancing.
They're not dirty dancing.
Yeah,
actually, no. We want them.
Swayze.
No. We want them to dirty dance. We want them to dirty.
So we want Patrick Swayze.
That's too much yeast eats before too fast. No. So this should be really good. So in a month, which today. If you guys don't know, it's February 18th. I put a reminder on March 18th, which is also a Friday.
It's going to be great.
All right. Well, check out that website, please, and give us some comments. do something.
Tell us what you want us to ferment.
Yeah.
Tell us what you want out of us.
Yeah. And Nick, do your thing.
Stay sexy, Atlanta.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Dumb, Cool, and Weird podcast with Wes and Nick. If you want to check out more of our stuff, go to www.dumbcoolweird.com. You'll find our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Patreon link if you want to support us. Also, be sure to check out our merch store. And if you're interested in being on our podcast, you can find a link on our website so you can reach out to us and tell us if you want to talk to us about something that's really weird, dumb, or cool. We'd be glad to hear from you. Hope you will stay tuned for the next weird ass episodes we got. Thank you.